We need to talk about Tesla stock. This is going to be a serious video, so no jokes today. If you look at your portfolio and you are scared or you are worried and you are a long-term investor, then you will definitely want to watch this whole video. The sentiment among retail Tesla stock investors is at a very low point. Sawyer says he has never seen retail investor confidence so low when it comes to Tesla stock. It is sad to see this for me personally. And we are seeing outflows when we look at ARK Invest. So someone is giving in. But here is the thing. It is very difficult to lose money if you are not selling. If you are dollar cost averaging, like many investors are, then you're just accumulating at lower prices. That's all that's happening basically. And unfortunately, short term, there is always a lot of noise. I made this video about a month ago now, after Twitter deal closed. And initially, before it closed, I was hoping that the Twitter overhang would lift and that everything would perhaps start to get better. And then right after it closed, I realized I had this thought that, I don't know. I think this could be just the beginning of a very big overhang, in other words, a buying opportunity, which I know some of you are not a fan of. I am a fan of that, but this was that video, and unfortunately, many people disliked that video. Mostly the response was positive, but short sellers loving me? I don't think so. I am a very strong Tesla stock bull. But I do see the other side as well. Pay attention to the date this video was released on. October 28th. It was evening of 28th, and I called it urgent warning from all-in Tesla stock investor. Someone complained that I called it urgent and said I was clickbaiting. Well, what do you think? Was I? Honest question. The stock is down 25-ish% since then. I can't find that comment anymore. I think that person deleted it. But to me, as a long-term investor, I believe Tesla stock, not financial advice, will at least 10x before the end of 2030. I mean, it's up 700% in the last 5 years. I am not worried with short-term fluctuations, so that's why I didn't sell any. Should I maybe become a trader? I mean, look at this date right here, right? This is pre-split 300. I don't like being a trader. I like being a long-term investor. So I just ignore those, but I see them. But with investing, it's just probabilities. It's never 100%. It's always probability. So let's talk more. I know that many of you simply are not able to buy any more Tesla stock because you just cannot cough up something like $900,000 in a month. But those of you who are buying, I am buying together with you right now. I'm in the process of buying a few $100,000 worth of Tesla stock. Hopefully that makes you guys feel better, but let's talk more. I want to share my perspective on Tesla stock as a serial entrepreneur. There are a lot of videos on YouTube where you get the investment perspective, but for me, I am an entrepreneur first, a serial entrepreneur. I built multiple businesses that were over $1 million. And being an entrepreneur, you have to go against the mainstream. So I have been doing that all of my life. Then, for example, everyone was going to college and university. I was involved in my businesses that were making millions. And looking back, that was the right decision to make. But I understand it doesn't come easy for most people to go against the mainstream. It is very difficult to do. And that's something that requires a certain level of confidence, but also rationality and also logic, as well as an ability to see your own emotions and then understand that you have this bias, and understanding that when we see something negative, we want to go away from that. When we see the stock going up, we want to go further in. Now, you see, I I have two sides to me. I have this one more artistic, more emotional side. When I was growing up, I loved actually drawing and doing artistic things. And then I have this other side of me where I am extremely logical, extremely rational. I'm able to separate all of my emotions, put them away, and then look at the facts and then make a decision. This is what makes the most sense. And these two sides, I think when you are only rational and only logical, then you actually are not as rational as you might think you are. You see, when I was growing up, and I remember when I placed in the top 20, when I went to Math Olympics in my home country, I was like, oh, I'm smart. And I was only looking at the facts and the logic, and I wasn't as logical as I thought I was. In a way, I was actually even emotional because I was thinking, oh, how can these people be so emotional and do silly things? Remember, mind you, this was when I was a teenager. I was, I think, 13 maybe when I placed top 20 in Math Olympics. So this was me growing up as a teenager. And then later I realized one of my businesses that I started, I remember seeing people using what I thought at the time, extremely silly tactics to persuade people and to convince people and to get people to buy. And I thought all I could do perhaps is just, if I find a good product and if I advertise that, for example, if I purchase ads and if I just tell people this product is a good product, here's why, people will buy. I tried that and I ran a campaign and it got a lot of attention. That campaign cost me money and no one actually bought the thing. And I was like, that's not very good. And then I looked at what other people were doing. I studied, and then turns out people can be emotional. And then I adjusted my way of presenting, and that had a much better response. All of a sudden, I was making sales for the first time. And somewhere around there, I had this realization. If you want to be very logical, very rational, you have to actually admit that there is an emotional side to you. And also, you have to understand that most people are very emotional. And oftentimes, the most logical thing to do is first to understand that the way people act is actually extremely reasonable. It's not rational, but it's reasonable. You see, there's a reason behind it. And when you understand that, it's much easier to navigate through the world. So when I see Tesla's, for example, profits, earnings, even though we have all of this noise, I know for myself the investment decision that I made, for me, that is, it's a good investment decision. Now, it might be different for you, but for me, I am a long-term investor. I am still young. And to me, this makes sense. You see, I don't look at the daily movements of Tesla stock in a way that I'm looking at my holdings and be like, oh, that's a bad day. Oh, that's a good day. That's a bad day. That's a good day. I don't look at it like that. Just like when I look at my businesses, I'm not wondering how much can I sell this business for right now. What I am concerned about is, am I doing a good job? Is the business growing? If the business is growing and we are making more money and the future looks good for the business, if you told me a year ago that you would have paid, let's say, $5 million for one of my businesses, and now you are telling me that you're only paying $2 million, even though my business is now making more money, I will not take you seriously. I don't care about how much you're paying me. All I care is about how much is my business making. If the business is making more money, and I know that the business is going to keep growing, and we have products that we are working on, and we are working on innovation, for example, full self driving for Tesla, is what I am betting on to 10x my money with Tesla stock. So, and everything else for me is an insurance policy. If full self-driving is indeed solved, I believe for Tesla stock, we will see the biggest increase in the stock price. Perhaps when we look at all of the stocks, perhaps a single biggest increase in the stock price ever, if there is some kind of, a clear event that full self-driving is going to be happening, but it might be very gradual. But we might get surprised. It may sneak up on all of us. I bought Tesla stock in early 2019, and when I watched my stock go down something like 50% at one point, somewhere around here, that was a bad drop. One of the main reasons why I bought it was because I believe Tesla is not going to go bankrupt anymore, because it just posted profitable quarters. So I looked at it and I'm like, I think Elon Musk got this. And then all of these things started happening. Tesla stock down more than 8% day after reporting biggest sales drop in its history. This sounds like this quarter, doesn't it? I mean, all of the speculation about the price cut in China and demand problem in China. And then I remember seeing this one saying, Elon Musk saying that in Q1 of 2019, Tesla will not be profitable, and everyone ran to that headline. But then if you listen to Elon Musk, he said in Q2, likely we would be profitable. So this was profitable initially. This was profitable. Then I bought early 2019, and next quarter, unfortunately, it was not profitable yet. But then every quarter after that, Tesla has done well. By the way, I'm just searching for Tesla stock with this specific period. And look, this was absolutely everywhere. The Morgan Stanley story. Everywhere. I mean, look, how many results are there? 1, 2, there was one above. It was absolutely everywhere. Everyone was so scared. But they all forget that analysts and institutions are often, they look at everything in rather short-term horizon. They are not long-term investors oftentimes. Sometimes they are, but not often. They give 1-year price targets. They don't give 10-year price targets, usually. If you are investing in Tesla stock, you are probably planning to hold it until at least the end of 2030 or 10 years. As long as you believe that earnings are going to continue, then I don't see any reason to sell at all. Of course, there is noise. The stock is going to be volatile. Could the stock drop more? Of course it could. If the macro environment gets really bad, Tesla will be affected, I think. But what happens if full self-driving is going to be sold, let's say, next year or a year after, or in 2026, 2027? It doesn't matter when exactly. It's going to be a huge catalyst, I believe, and institutional investors are not taking that into account at all, basically. They're just thinking of it as a driver assistance package, but nothing in terms of full self-driving, certainly not. With Tesla projected to make tens of billions, even hundreds of billions of dollars over the next decades, buybacks are inevitable, or dividends. I think it's going to be buybacks. And there are a lot of retail Tesla stock investors, and there's a lot of pressure to do this right now. So when they do it, the stock, I believe, not financial advice, will go up. Now it depends on how much of a buyback it is. If it's just 5 or 10 billion, the stock I think will still move up. But then there's also this other argument, oh, Tesla is suffering so badly that we have to do the buyback, and you might have this other counter story. To me, that's all noise. I just look at the fundamentals. Simply, that is, are we making more money? Yes, we are. Okay. Am I seeing anything that's different fundamentally about Tesla long term? No. Are we still on track to solve full self-driving? Yes, it looks so to me, for sure. Everything else, then, is just noise. So just like Alexandra, I am buying more. In investing, perhaps one of the most dangerous things that you can do is panic. Panic, be upset, be emotional. If you panic, hey, look, I understand that emotion. Calm down. Once you calm down, look at your case, your bull case, your bear case, your base case, and then make a thoughtful decision and then proceed further. Just looking at the history, I believe battery prices are going to continue to come down, and when they keep coming down, the sticker price, when you compare a gasoline car and an electric car, well, EVs eventually will be cheaper. And when that happens, it's inevitable for the EV revolution to happen. And Tesla, I believe, is going to benefit from that, no doubt about that. If you are investing in Tesla stock, by definition, you are going against the mainstream. Possibly no financial advisor is going to tell you to put most of your money in Tesla stock. That means if you did that, that means you are going against the mainstream. If you are going against the mainstream, which I am, I personally don't watch the mainstream. If I do, it's just for me to find what are the worst things that are possible here to happen. And what I simply do is I do my own research. I think for myself. I look at my bear case. I look at my bull case. I look at my base case. And then I look at my worst possible case. And I make my decisions based on those. That's what I would recommend that you do too. Look at your own numbers. Look at your own research. Think for yourself. And then stick to your own thinking. I know when you look at the 1 year chart, it does not look good at all. The loss is huge. However, when you look at a 5-year chart, which if you invested before this incredible increase, if you did invest before 2020 and you are still upset about this huge decline, well, you are still up a huge amount. I don't see anything to be upset about here. Now, if you invested at the very top, I understand that sucks. If you are a new investor and that's your biggest position, I understand that really sucks. But when I make an investment, I invest long term. So, for example, if I invest in Tesla stock, and when I initially did, it went down something like 50%, I invested knowing that I want to keep the stock for at least 10 years if things go really badly. And at first it went down and I'm like, oh, I looked at that Morgan Stanley report. I was not feeling great. So I get that. I really understand that. It sucks. But you have to stick to your own investment thesis, whatever that is for you. Everyone has a different philosophy for investing. Mine is, when I make an investment, if it's a long-term investment, and if the investment is down, let's say, I'm not worried at all. I do not count my profits until I sell, and I do not count my losses until I sell. This makes me not excited at all when the stock goes up, and not worried at all when the stock goes down. Because my timeline is about 10 years. It's only been a few years. And let's not forget, Tesla has all of the positive things still going on for it. There are a lot of things to be excited about that happened this year. Fundamentally, Tesla is strong. I mean, this year, FSD went from barely able to regularly and consistently make even a simple left or right turn to now reliably making this extremely complex turn and maneuver here. I mean, I would be really scared to drive through here, and it does it well over and over and over again. So I would say stay calm, expect a lot of volatility, expect bad things to happen, but in the long term, this is Elon explaining for 20 minutes why Tesla stock is a buying opportunity. Click on that video and I'll see you there. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you over here